Well, for maritime archaeologists, it's a dream come true. A surprise find in a car park in the quiet WA coastal town of Bunbury. 5 metres below the surface, the team has found historic hidden treasure. And experts say there's no site quite like it in the world. Nikki Wilson-Smith reports from Western Australia.
This isn't what you'd expect to find in a coastal car park. In Bunbury, Western Australia, what was a haunt for hoons has become something much more significant. An archaeological dig.
Yep. We're just hitting solid material all through here and it's wooden, so that's a pretty good sign that there's another shipwreck here.
The area around Bunbury is known as the Shipwreck Coast, and there have been rumours through the years of American whaling ships wrecked near the beach and smothered by sand. John Cross was 16 years old when he worked at a sand mine at this site. In 1961, he was on night shift when he struck wood.
I hit this, what seemed like something solid. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't steel, it just felt... So anyway, as a process of working there that evening, it turned out that it was wood. And it was Oregon wood. And Oregon wood is American.
John Cross thought he had hit a shipwreck, but no one was very interested in his find. 50 years later, he's back working on the same site as a member of an archaeological dig to confirm his suspicions that this car park is a shipwreck graveyard.
Much fun. Best job I've been on my life, actually. You know, I had some tough jobs in my time, you know, and this is about the best I've had, so I'm sort of whistling Dixie, you know.
Baseline 291.
And it turns out his hunch was right.
And this would have gone down the side of the hull, so it's a piece of deck that's fallen over on its side.
And you can see there's still barnacles on that piece of metal.
That's right, yeah. So we know this was in the intertidal zone at one stage. So...
Ross Anderson is the head marine archaeologist at the West Australian Museum, and he's leading the excavation. He has been fascinated by the stories of American whaling ships wrecked at Bunbury and says there is no other site quite like this in the world.
As a resource, so with 3 of them we think in the same location is absolutely unique. So it's that unique combination of circumstances where you get material and wrecks and everything, and then it gets sealed up by modern development and site for, you know, coastline changes, and that's resulted in just sealing this as almost, you know, like a shipwreck park.
One of the ships found is a mystery, and scientists are currently testing wood samples to try and work out what it is. And while it's yet to be confirmed, archaeologists believe the other 2 ships on site are American whalers wrecked here in the 1800s.
And one of them, the Samuel Wright, which is the earliest one, is a Salem whaler. So the Salem whalers were the first ones that really came and explored these grounds in Western Australia, and then everyone sort of followed them. And so like the gold rush, this was like a blubber rush.
The second ship, the North America, was wrecked here in 1843 as the confused captain tried to outrun a comet. Now the ship's hull has been uncovered, preserved over time.
We were hoping with the water probing to find wooden structure and ballast or something like that, but to actually get an intact bow structure with all of that diagnostic information, that's it was quite, you know, like, oh, that was a bit of a fluke, you know, we were looking in the right place, but to actually come right down on that particular piece of structure was fantastic.
It was also fantastic for Ray Parks, a Bunbury surveyor who estimated the location of the wrecks using historic maps.
That was 27 years ago, so it's great to see that today they are where I thought they were, where I positioned them. Yeah, it was quite traumatic actually, waiting to see if something was going to come up, and it did, so you feel a bit justified, you feel your work was right.
After years of planning, days of digging and hours recording painstaking details, the archaeologists conducting this dig will simply push the sand back over the wreck and leave it just as they found it.
If they're in good environmental sort of condition for preservation of the wreck, then we suggest that it stays there, it gets covered up, and hopefully it'll be there in the future when there's more archaeological questions to be answered.
But locals are disappointed.
In a sense, you feel a sense of loss when they get buried again, and you can just say, well, there are some wrecks under there, because they are a very big part of Bunbury's heritage. And I understand there's not too many American whalers that are still intact in this type of around the world. They're mainly broken up.
While the community waits to see what the future holds for the car park whalers, John Cross is happy to find the answer to his own 50-year-old puzzle.
There's probably half a dozen in here, so we've just got to wait and see. But it's a shame they're going to have to cover it all up, because they've achieved so much, and now they're going to cover it up. But I suppose it's good for someone else to come along in 50 years and have another dig, you know.
How hard will it be to push that sand back over the site? Fascinating stuff. Terrific story too by Nikki Wilson-Smith.